Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good evening to everyone who's watching Bideshi Vibes. This is a special edition on the 31st of December 2020, the last few hours before this year turns into 2021. What a year it has been, actually. And with myself, none other than the most amazing looking Kabir Ahmad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. How are you and how's your family?
Yeah, family's good, mashallah. Hopefully well with yours. It's such a very cold night in London, isn't it? New Year's Eve, another what, 3 hours to go before what some would say a absolutely horrible year, 2020, moving into hopefully 2021, a better year for everybody, including ourselves. It's been absolutely horrendous year, and what this program is about is looking back on the year we've just had, but also looking back at the achievements of prominent British Bangladeshis over the last 10 years, from 2010 onwards up until the end of this current year. Prominent Bangladeshi personalities have been very prominent in their expertise in their own relevant fields and have made a significant contribution in the world of politics, economics, entertainment, as well as other sectors as well. So we are obviously going to be paying tribute to them, and obviously looking back on the year in general as well, which is a very good, fabulous idea from yourself, Brother Yahya. What are we looking forward to tonight exactly for our watching audience? And if
Well,
you got
really, I mean, for Bideshi Vibe audience, wherever you're watching from, once again, welcome. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and if those will join later, then welcome to you as well. And you can, of course, catch up with the show later on. You can, in fact, catch up with all of the shows that we've had so far later on. When you come to watch this one, you get the chance to see all the other videos and all the other shows that are available. If you've got any comments, feedbacks, do share them with us. Definitely, I mean, this has been an extraordinary year, I would say, and in some ways you could say it's been an extraordinary decade. Particularly 2021 has probably been the what can you say? Probably the icon of that whole decade, if you like, particularly with the whole pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic that has impacted the world all over. Through it, we're having to experience ourselves, our families, our community, and people all over the world various types of difficulty, within which there are also positive stories that we know and we've heard of, and beyond. And I would say before the COVID, if you like, there's been lots of important milestones that have been laid by the British Bangladeshi community. I would say probably if we stretch back for the last decade. And the reason why I felt let's look at the decade, because 2020, brother Kabir, will never come back. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I don't think anybody wants. Actually, Brother Yahya, I don't think anybody wants to come back. But like I was just explaining to your fair, the last 2 or 3 days has been absolutely horrific in terms of the information that we've been receiving into the virus. Lots of illnesses, not just COVID related, but in general. I mean, the healthcare sector in the United Kingdom has been decimated for the last 9, 10 months. So people that need treatment are not really receiving treatment on time. That's causing complications. Do you think before we can begin the show, can you make a dua for everybody, for the ummah in general, just for their just for their well-being? If you can start off and hopefully say a couple of nice things, and then we can begin the show, inshallah.
Thank you, Brother Kabir. And it's a very relevant
Oh, we're having technological problem. Once, unfortunately, we have lost Brother Yahya, but it's expected. It's New Year's Eve. There's 3 hours to go. Lots of messages exchanging, and therefore, obviously, network congestion and Wi-Fi for the last 9, 10 months. I mean, the whole country, well, the whole world has been digital and has been online. I'm sure we'll get Brother Yahya back sooner rather than later, and hopefully, he will say a few words to us. Make a few dua, inshallah, for everybody that's impacted, and hopefully start off. Look forward to midnight tonight, and hopefully the beginning of a new year and a fresh year, 2021. Hopefully, will be COVID should be over and done with in the first quarter of next year. And now the vaccine, everything is readily available for everybody that wants to have it. So at least there's a source, an alternative available for those that feel pressured to have the vaccination. And hopefully, we will see the end of COVID and this virus, and hopefully life getting back to normality sometimes next year. Well, certainly that is the hope and dream for everybody. It's been a very, very tough last 9, 10 months. I do apologize about my appearance on screen, but that's my appearance on screen, and Brother Yahya's appearance on screen is exactly how the last 2020 so far has been. It's been quite detached from actual civilization, what we used to. We've been home for near enough for 12 months of the year, and not the same chemistry with family and friends and our social network outside with physical contact as such, naturally, because we're not allowed to go out. So our whole world has been on digital. Our whole world has been at home. It has its advantages, it has its disadvantages, but I'm sure everybody is looking forward to going back to normality as soon as possible. This is actually a very, very special episode of Bideshi Vibes, brought to you on fb.com/Bideshi Vibes. We will be looking back on the Bideshi Vibes season that we've had this year. It's been a trial run. I think we've been enormously successful. This is episode 14. So 28 weeks. Oh, Brother Yahya's back with us. So I'm not just speaking to myself like a madman. Before we
No,
lose you,
you're not. I have to.
yeah. Before we lose you, can we just say, make special open the show with a dua for the whole ummah and everybody in the world regarding
Yeah,
the current implications of what we're suffering at the moment?
yeah. Thank you very much, Brother Kabir. It's a prayer, to be honest, for all of us, including ourselves, our families, Bangladeshis all over the world, Muslims all over the world, humanity at large, really. And to be given that responsibility is a big responsibility. I'm not befit to do that. Let us, within our limitations, actually ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is not limited. We are all limited except him. And if there's anything that the world can learn, is that humans in the sight of the most powerful are very, very insignificant. At times we become very arrogant to think that we have everything within our control. Even science is struggling to really come to grips with this reality. But I think it's a good lesson for all of us. And, may Allah or may God take all of us out of this difficulty as soon as possible. Allahumma ameen. Alhamdulillah. Hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fihi. Ya Rabbi lak alhamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhik wa azimi sultanik. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد عبدك ونبيك ورسولك نبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. اللهم تقبل صلاتنا وصيامنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا وتلاوتنا ودعاءنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من البرص والجنون والجزام ومن سيء الأسقام. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من البرص والجنون والجزام ومن سيء الأسقام. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من البرص والجنون والجزام ومن سيء الأسقام. اللهم اغفر لنا حينا وميتنا وشاهدنا وغائبنا وصغارنا وكبارنا وذكرنا وانثانا. اللهم من أحييت منهم فأحيهم على الإسلام ومن توفيت منهم فتوفاهم على الإيمان. اللهم ارحم موتانا. اللهم اشفي مرضانا. اللهم اشفي مرضانا. اللهم اشفي مرضانا يا أكرم الأكرمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض. اشفينا آجلا كاملا يا أكرم الأكرمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم الوالدين رب ارحمهما كما ربونا صغيرا. ربونا صغارا اللهم الوالدين رب ارحمهما كما ربونا صغارا اللهم الوالدين رب ارحمهما كما ربونا صغارا اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين وانصرنا الاخوان المسلمين المستضعفين في كل مكان يا رب العالمين اللهم اشف مرضانا اللهم اشف مرضانا اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا وارحم موتانا وارحم موتانا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم O Lord, give us the best of this world and the best of the hereafter and protect us and from the punishment of the fire. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum. Ameen.
Ameen. That's a very beautiful dua you just made there. Actually, just before we move on to the show, what have you found out about yourself over this year? What is your experiences, psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally? What has it been for you? This is very unusual. We're not used to being caged.
Definitely. You know, when they talk about the new normal, you kind of think, what does the new normal mean? You know, at the moment, for example, I've been isolating since last Saturday. Yeah, I've been isolating since Saturday. My family has been isolating since last Thursday, early Friday, if you like. And it's amazing that, you know, we've had to spend all of our days inside the house physically with one another, with each other. As nice as it is, it can also become quite testing, you know, for a part of the world that is so used to the social existence, you know, that's being as human beings, we're social creatures, to suddenly be denied or be tested with limited access to that social space has really brought out perhaps the goodness within us and perhaps some of the weaknesses also within us, you know. And I think for me, one of the things that I would probably remember for myself is that, you know, it's easy for me to express how difficult things are at this moment, but at the same time another part of me is saying, hang on, you know, we're going through this maybe for just under a year, okay, but what about all the good times we've had for the past 3+ decades of the life that I've lived and existed? It seems for as human beings, it's quite easy for us to, especially in a part of the world where we have so much, rather than, you know, to struggle for basics. We have more than basics. We don't live on what we need. We are living on what we want. And we get that often. So when you have that reality and then suddenly there's a pause button on all of that, it's very difficult to think, hang on, I've had it good for the last 2, 3, 4 decades, economically, politically, socially, culturally, etc., etc. So, you know, I would say that, you know, the sense of gratitude needs to be there for what we've had, and also at the same time a sense of reflection for how and where we are, and the fact that as human beings, no matter how big we think we are, actually Yahya is actually very small. When he looks up to the heavens like that, he realizes, you know, he is a tiny creature in all of this, you know. So definitely I would say that if there's anything that I would take for myself with whatever time that's written for me on earth, is that, you know, let's learn from what we're going through at this moment in time and see if I and you and we can become better human beings in recognizing the things that we take for granted so easily, so often, for so long, subhanallah. And, you know, the other thing I would say for the British Bangladeshi community, one of the things that I think we've realized is how important it is to have a good health. You know, the whole idea that health is wealth, really, for those who totally just saw that as a phrase, can now really value what that is, because money cannot buy good health. You know, good health is a blessing, but at the same time it also brought through the fore you know, the diet issues within our own community, you know, particularly for our first generation, our parents, who have been the most loved people to us and who have loved us unconditionally for so long. For them to suddenly be exposed to an issue where their lung cannot give them enough, of what they need to literally survive, maybe for another year or for maybe a decade or so. So, you know, the health of the condition of our health has come to the fore. And I would say that, you know, that's a big reminder for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wealth is actually health, and certainly health has really been in focus this particular year. For my personal experience, I mean, I've enjoyed working from home. I've got to admit, I've learned a few things about myself. I go through phases of motivation, so I don't think I am the most perfect entrepreneur if I want to be, because if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be a very motivated person, a very motivated individual. So over the last 9, 10 months, I've realized that although working from home, I've enjoyed it. Maybe it's the comfort zone of working from home, the relaxed background, etc., that I've actually enjoyed. Has it made me more productive? Has it made me more driven, more ambition? Maybe another individual, for them, it would have been a huge eye opener, because with the current situation is regarding COVID. I'm just coming back to the COVID perspective. They've now found another strain of virus. We don't know what other viruses are going to be found and discovered over the next 2 or 3 months, or over the whole of the next particular year. It seems like, certainly, I believe, over the next 12 months, even maybe 2 years, maybe the future of work is actually being based from home. And the whole work and the professional sector, well, the whole world is actually digital. So, I mean, in terms of some people, I mean, I looked at myself, can I really be independent? Can I be self-employed? Can I be an entrepreneur? I found some questions to the answers that I was looking for. Some positives, some negatives. Obviously, I've got to improve on the negatives and turn them into positives. That has been quite positive. I think in terms of spiritualism, in terms of praying on time, etc. That has also been very helpful. Spending a lot of time with the children, with the wife, as much as I could. That has also been very helpful as well. I'm not sure if homeschooling has been a good idea for children. I don't think it is a good idea. And the latest bulletins I've had, certainly where we live, me and you in Redbridge, I think all the schools are closed up until January the 18th or January the 20th. So that's obviously education. I mean, for the children, the education has been a huge talking point, and they've suffered. I don't think home tuition is the same as getting taught by a teacher in class, and certainly not to having the camaraderie or the banter or the playtime with your friends, or the gossip or the conversations that take place in school playgrounds. I think that has sorely been missed, because that only improves characteristics and personality and communication and relationship building skills of our children. So that's obviously taken a massive hit this particular calendar year. And it seems like 2021 has certainly started off in that perspective as well. But hopefully we will move forward and we'll move onwards into more positive ambience, hopefully, with 2021, which is only about 2 hours and 40 minutes away. But in terms of the influence, certainly Bangladeshis have had over the last 10 years. Not only has Bangladesh, the country, has grown and is growing economically and politically and socially and militarily as well on the world stage as a nation. I think Bangladeshi expatriates or diasporas or migrants, whichever you want to call, have contributed massively to the countries that they have been living in, residing in, and now calling it home. And it's been no different, certainly, in the United Kingdom as such. And we are now going to be looking at personalities that have made a massive contribution as Bangladesh, British Bangladeshis, to the United Kingdom, beginning with some very key personnel and some very key people that have done some wonderful things for the Bangladeshi community, for the British Bangladeshi community, but also for the United Kingdom as well. So where do we begin, Brother Yahya? Who would be at the top of your list?
It's thank you for introducing the discussion. It's really about looking back as we look ahead, if you like, as a community, British Bangladeshi community here in this part of the world, particularly in the United Kingdom. You know, we could have looked at Bangladeshis all over the world. We could have looked at Bangladeshis in Europe, in America, and I suppose as they say, things begin at home, and for us, home is here. So I thought, let's look at the British Bangladeshis in the UK and their contributions. We couldn't bring everyone into the list. I tried to look at things as much as I could, from, if you like, to look at why these people have been quite important within their contribution on behalf of the Bangladeshi community, for the Bangladeshi community and the wider community, including maybe one or two institutions as well. So really, this is not official on behalf of any survey or anything like that. It's merely maybe some of us on behalf of Bideshi Vibes looking at such characters and perhaps giving them a bit of a due regard as we end 2020, which is also like a decade, if you like, of British Bangladeshi contribution. And the first person, Kohil
Yep.
bhai,
Yep.
well, to be honest, there's no definite order. We haven't necessarily put first, second, and last. We just kind of pulled together maybe a number of people, probably about 10 people, and 10 people, and maybe one or two institutions within that, reflecting the 10 years. Some of them may have come to the fore perhaps a little bit before 2010, but overall, beyond a decade of difference. And Nazia Jamir Hussain comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Kavil, huh?
Yes,
What do you think?
absolutely.
If there is a British Bangladeshi face on the British Isle at this moment in time, maybe for the last 5+ years, it's been Nadia Jamir Hussain, or Nadia Hussain as we popularly know her as, who won the British Bake Off in 2015.
Absolutely. She's been wonderful, actually. I mean, not only she's a Bangladeshi female, she wears hijab, her character, well, from what I've seen her on TV as well, her characteristics, her personality. She's very, very Bangladeshi, actually. She's a great ambassador for the Bangladeshi community, but also for the British Bangladeshis as well. I mean, not only is she, I think she's a massive contributor to for Bangladesh. I think she's also an ambassador for the United Kingdom as well, because she's very global now. She's an international face. I mean, she's not only she reflects Bangladeshi achievements as a woman. She also represents the achievements of somebody from the UK as well, a British female as well. She's also representative of being a Muslimah. She's also a hijab wearing Muslimah as well. So she ticks a lot of the boxes, and she's also great in terms of baking and in terms of culinary, in terms of cooking as well. So I think she has been, I would say, over the last 10 years. I mean, I know we don't have rankings in this particular program, because obviously we're going by who we think have made massive contributions, and we probably have missed out a lot of people as well. So we do apologize. But I would definitely say that in terms of marketability, in terms of instant recognition, in terms of being mainstream and reflecting many, many core elements of both Bangladesh and the United Kingdom, of being a Muslim and then also a Muslim woman as well. I think she's definitely in the top, in terms of female, she's definitely in the top one, in my opinion, over the last 10 years. And she's definitely in the top two of key individuals that I think have made a significant contribution as British Bangladeshis to the United Kingdom. So I can't say anything much more than that. I mean, this is high praise indeed. I think she's been fabulous for the United Kingdom in general. She's been great for British Bangladeshis in general, and I think she's been great for hijab-wearing Muslim women as well.
Thank you. I mean, the thing is, what's very interesting, as you were saying, a lot about Nadia Hussain, it's quite interesting that, it wasn't that she knew she was going to be accepted on Britain's Bake Off when she applied, or when her husband applied, number one. Secondly, excuse me. Secondly, in terms of, actually getting through the competition and going to become a winner, I don't think she knew that as well. I don't think we as a community knew that as well. And then what came with it, we as a community did not know. I mean, I would say that she's probably, brought the Bangladeshi community into a much more mainstream space without ever intending that to happen. And through that, I'm sure a lot of people have had spin-off benefits in their own careers and in their own pursuits and so on and so forth.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, she's now a great author. She's got many TV shows as well. And you are right. I think she has been a great ambassador for Bangladeshi female in general. And through her, I think there's been many, many spillover benefits that Bangladeshi or South Asian women in general have maybe experienced in the media. I think in terms of Asian or South Asian representation, certainly in the United Kingdom mainstream media, we are very underrepresented. Okay. She broke through the taboo. Not only was she wearing a hijab, she was on the, I think it was the BBC Two show for a period of about 3-4 months. She became very global, very famous, and she actually put the hijab. She actually really promoted the hijab, and it really brought the hijab into the forefront of the population in general, also and the media as well. Because remember, the hijab, and actually talking about COVID, I mean, the hijab in general, the burqa has been attacked over the last 10 years in terms of why do Muslim women need to wear a headscarf, need to wear a hijab? Isn't it alienating? Isn't it isolating yourself from everybody else? Well, she proved that she wearing a hijab, she's just normal like everybody else. It's just a piece of clothing she chooses to wear out of faith, out of modesty and spirituality, and it should be respected as well. And one of the things I forgot to mention actually when we're talking about COVID is that the hijab is no longer seen as a threat because we've been walking around with face masks for the last 10 or 11 months, which used to be the tool and the clothing of bandits. So if I wanted to go and rob your house, I would have been wearing a face mask 10 months ago and you would have called the police on me. Now you would call the police on me for not wearing one.
Well, the thing is, it'd be interesting to see if the prime minister was ever caught robbing anyone, because he would still be wearing one of these now. You know, he was quite reluctant, said some irresponsible things. I'm sure he's having to swallow what he has said, over a period of time. But yeah, so definitely Nadia has been a very important icon within the mainstream community, within the British Bangladeshi community. And I would even zoom in even more, Brother Kabir, to say maybe the Sylheti community, because obviously the biggest diaspora from Bangladesh overseas, particularly in the UK, are from Sylhet, that particular region. And there was a documentary that went into where her ancestral roots were, if I remember clearly. So that gave an image of village life, that life that many of our parents had left behind a long time ago to make a better place for us, if you like, and may God rest the souls of those who have given that labor and have passed away and passed the baton on to us to be the best mirror of their goodness and greatness. And inshallah, I hope that we are able to do so. But definitely Nadia is just one of the success stories of the prayers of our parents.
Yeah, absolutely. One more thing about Nadia before we move on, actually, is she's actually this is for all the sisters that are watching, etc. This is no criticism as such, but what she has done, she's actually made cooking and being at home and cooking for the family and preparing food for the family very fashionable. I think we went through a stage, I think within our community in general, where the wives and the sisters and the nieces, etc., may not have been too keen of being a homemaker, may not have too much focus on cooking and preparation and food in general in terms of passion. It was more of a need rather than a passion. I think what Nadia's definitely done is she's definitely stimulated a passion, what I certainly feel, within females in general, but I think probably Bangladeshi women as well, where maybe she's an inspiration to the younger generations. Maybe somebody wanted to be a lawyer, but all of a sudden Nadia Hussein's now inspiring them to be a chef or a bakery, or focus more on being a homemaker and the stuff you do in terms of cooking and baking, etc. Being a restaurateur, being an author, being a chef, etc., which has been great. And I know actually even on my road where I live, I know there is a beautiful niece of mine from a neighbor who actually who wants to be like Nadia Hussein. I mean, she wants to be a chef. She wants to bake cakes, and that's what she sees a professional future in, which is amazing. I'm not sure if this particular individual would have had that kind of aims and objectives in life before Nadia. I think Nadia's definitely made it fashionable, which is great for her, and she's done marvelously well. And hopefully, the next 10 years she'll be very successful as well. She has many books that you can buy that she's written. As Brother Yahya says, she has many documentaries that she's done as well. And she's got her own TV shows as well. So she's everywhere on our screens now.
Great. I mean, all the best to those who have been inspired by Nadia. I
Mm.
really hope that you can become the inspiration for many years to come, with those who are younger than you, not only in terms of success, in terms of money wise, but in terms of morals and ethics and those values that really make us true humans, inshallah. So all the best to Nadia for the next decade, I suppose, you know.
Yeah, next decade, I'm sure, and
Right.
well beyond that. Oh, more Bangladeshi women for us to have a look at. Brother
This
Yahya, please
is
go through the list.
Well, this is a, probably this is a very, very important story of the British Bangladeshi community and its success, which is again women. It's amazing, you know, how such a small part of the world has brought women into its attention and to the global stage in many unique ways. We just talked about a person who's using cooking as a way of bringing British Bangladeshi slash Muslim women slash Southeast Asian women to the fore, and then now we have these four MPs. In the
Mm.
last decade, we actually got four MPs on behalf of the British Bangladeshi community, and all of them happen to be women, and all of them are of a reasonable age. I would say probably anything between 30 and 45.
Yeah, very young indeed. But just before we move in to actually talk about them individually, would you say in the British politics in general, well, certainly mainstream politics, do you think Bangladeshi women have done better than Bangladeshi men?
It's interesting you say that. I think it depends. I mean, if you're talking about doing better where these four ladies have come to, then
Yeah.
perhaps yeah. But I mean, the thing is, whether these four ladies will represent every Bangladeshi women here in the UK, I'm not sure. But overall, possibly yeah. I mean, I would be inclined to say that the women have done overall better, and not only have they done better, not only have they. I think what the women have done is that
Mm.
they've looked at their Bangladeshi roots, uh, and not been stuck on that, and have managed to climb over that and really go to the mainstream space and try to contribute on behalf of their own ethnic roots and on behalf of all of their constituents. And I think the men in general are perhaps still struggling to leave behind some of the legacies of their roots, which has positives and negatives. And I found that a lot of Bangladeshi men that are interested in politics have a lot of connection to politics overseas, which
Yeah.
may not be the best way to move forward in politics in this part of the world. It may not make you the most fit person, and certainly to the voter, it probably doesn't make you very fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, if you're a politician in the United Kingdom, your focus should be in the United Kingdom. I think what's happening in Bangladesh is not really relevant to you because you've got to represent your constituents and your interest in the land that you're residing and living in and who people have voted you in. However, I've just done a bit of research, actually. Obviously, you know a bit more about these parliamentarians than I do. But starting off, for example, um, Tulip Siddiq, I believe she's the Minister
Tulip
of Parliament.
Siddiqui.
She's the MP for the London Borough of Camden. Am I correct?
Yes, is one of the border areas of Camden. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and yeah, she has a famous aunt, I believe. Is that correct?
Are you having a doubt because you said you believe? So it's maybe you're having some.
I've heard. You said obviously, if you're a minister in the United Kingdom, then you shouldn't really focus too much on Bangladeshi politics. But I don't think she focuses too much on Bangladeshi politics. But her aunt is quite famous, I believe. She is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh.
She's the current prime minister of Bangladesh, which I suppose brings her into some what's it called? What can I say? Like some controversy, if you like. For those who are very very happy with the current prime minister in Bangladesh, and for those who may be upset. So Tulip ends up getting a little bit of positive and negative out of all of that. But yeah,
Mm.
regardless, she's an MP for one of the London boroughs, which is Camden. That's where she's based, and yeah, so she's one of the niece. Her mother is a sister after the current prime minister of Bangladesh. Basically, her mother, immediately after the current prime minister is her mother. It's interesting. Some people say maybe her mother may become the next prime minister. We don't know, really.
Okay. Interestingly enough, they're all parliamentarians with the Labour Party.
Yeah.
Why do you think? Naturally, obviously, I'm guessing. I mean, it does help. Well, obviously, Camden, or it's a very multicultural area. There's a huge Bangladeshi community there in and around London, in and around Camden. So I can understand that you might get some votes based on your nationality, and it's a lot more easy to access, go in that community in general. But do you think the Labour Party has been slightly more favourable? I wouldn't say the Labour Party or any of the other political parties are friendly towards Muslims in general. I don't think they are. I think we're very well, we are underrepresented. But these women, actually, even with these barriers, have done phenomenally well. So, in terms of their interest in Labour Party, do you think this happened during the term of tenure of Jeremy Corbyn, or was this previously? I mean, obviously, Labour seems to have a bit more Bangladeshi representation than the other parties at the moment.
Look, it's funny you say that. I think overall there's a historical connection of Labour being supported by quote unquote immigrants slash minorities in general.
Hmm.
So that I think that's a default factor. I don't think anyone can deny that in terms of roots of beginning with political involvement and activism and so on and so forth. That's definitely, I would say, the Labour Party and its connection with the working class, with immigrants, with the BME community is it's probably a fundamental connecting point for the faces that we're now talking about in terms of through their family and community that they've come to the fore. Definitely. So I think overall, the Labour Party overall has been perhaps friendly to. Uh, we might as well stick to this particular community, to the British Bangladeshi community.
Hmm.
Is the Labour Party the most favoured political party amongst the British Bangladeshi community? I think overall there probably still are, but are there a lot of debates happening at this moment in time in the last decade? Yeah, a lot of debates are going on. Is Jeremy Corbyn a fact contributor to this? I don't know, because like for example, the first lady that was elected was Rushnara Ali. Jeremy was in town, but not enough. I would say probably before Jeremy, this journey started. And I have to say, and it's very important to give credit where it's due. Whether we like him or not, the person that really contributed to bringing
Hmm.
Rushnara Ali and British Bangladeshi women in particular to this position and this level was George Galloway.
Oh, yes, George. Good man.
eh? No, a lot of people forget that with all the positives and negatives and with all the controversies and so on and so forth, leaving that to a side,
Hmm.
George was a very important factor in breaking that so-called glass ceiling for the British Bangladeshi community and particularly its women. And Rushnara happened to be, I mean, whether she likes George or not, it'll be very difficult to deny that reality.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I always found George Galloway to be very honest and very direct and very transparent. I have, to be honest, I have no negative feelings or any thoughts regarding George himself. He's always represented and has been very, very supportive of the Muslim community and also the South Asian community in general. Talking about Rishna Ali, she's the Minister of Parliament for Bethnal Green and Bow. She's done marvelous work to get to that position. What do we know about her then, Brother Yahya?
Well, Rushnara she's typically an MP of a very very working class BAME community area,
Mm,
which is East London number one, and then second is the London Borough of Tower Hamlets,
mm,
which has the largest population of British Bangladeshis anywhere on the United Kingdom's map, probably over 70,000. And she's an MP for the ward of Bethnal Green and Bow. It was a hard fought battle, but she won with very good numbers actually, and not only once but consecutively, I must say. And she went to a school called Mowbray Girls School. Mowbray is sixth form, which Mowbray School is quite renowned in Tower Hamlets. It's
mm.
seen some important British Bangladeshi women in its years, and Rushnara is probably one of its biggest highlights. Girl from working class family background, ended up going to Oxford, finishing Oxford, through it getting involved in the Labour Party, and then through it climbed up the ranks of the Labour Party to be nominated as a parliamentary candidate, and she won with some huge numbers actually. And
No,
I think out of these four ladies, she's the oldest politician within the four ladies, if you like, that we're talking about in terms of the most time she spent in Parliament.
yeah, I mean, for our viewers there, I mean, we'd like to take away the word oldest and say more experience. I think that might be better. More Bideshi vibe, friendly there, brother Yahya. Okay, she's done marvelous well, Rishna Ali. It does also help, obviously, East London. She's educated herself in East London as well, which is great, considering how deprived East London was a decade ago. It still is to a certain aspect, and for somebody to achieve, educate themselves, start their schooling in that area and then become who she has been. I think it's a marvelous achievement and great credit to her. But also East London in general, with the caliber personalities that it is fostering and creating. Now let's move on to Rupa Haq. This one's very interesting. She's actually the Minister of Parliament for Ealing Central and Acton, and
Hmm.
the difference between her achievements and the achievements of Tulip before and obviously Rushnara Ali is Ealing is not really a Bangladeshi area. It's a South Asian area, but predominantly Pakistani, Punjabi, and Indian.
Yeah, Dr. Rupa Haq. Yeah, I've met her. I've met her once or twice. In fact, I met her once in Bangladesh actually on a trip on behalf of BRT, which is now called, which is also now known as the Global Development Foundation, on one of our visits. I found her to be quite a nice, friendly person to have a brief chat with. When you just bumped into her in a very popular celebrity restaurant. But yeah, I think that, to be honest, I think if we're going to give serious credit, that's that's genuine credit to be given, because
Mm.
she's been able to rally the support of a lot of constituents that are not directly from her direct native roots, which is
Yeah,
Bangladesh. So she must have some important qualities that she's been able to give to her constituents, and who've in turn have repaid her back in terms of giving her the opportunity to lead them and represent them in Parliament. So yeah, definitely. I mean, there's not if we're going to say how many Bangladeshis are there in Ealing, it would be quite easy to count. It's not that many, to be honest with
it is
you.
not. I mean, it's we know it's a predominantly South Asian area, but it's Punjabi, Gujarati, Indian, Pakistani as well, and there's strong competition from those individuals, that background in terms of public position and civil servant positions as well. And she's managed to do very, very well to get votes from within that community going towards her to win the election, rather than somebody who may be a Punjabi, who may be Sikh, who may be Indian as well. It's a marvelous achievement, and she's done very, very well. Now, moving on to our final Minister of Parliament, that's done very well, and she's very young. Apsana Begum, she's going through a bit of a tough time at the moment, but she's a very strong character. She's the Minister of Parliament for Poplar and Limehouse.
You mean she's the MP for Poplar Limehouse?
Yeah, and Minister of Parliament, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, uh, I for some reason I was thinking you're saying she's a minister. I beg your pardon.
Uh,
Uh, but yes, of course, she's the
Member
youngest.
of Parliament, Member
Yep.
of Parliament, sorry.
You got an old man like me thinking, you see, that's why. But yeah, so each of these ladies have their own unique
Mm.
features towards the role that they have, and no doubt they've all had public support for them to be where they are. And Afsana is probably the last, not the, I wouldn't want to say she's the last, but she's the youngest of all of these four ladies, and she's done very well to have constantly worked for the Labour Party on behalf of the Labour Party, particularly in a time where the Labour Party in the borough in which she was elected has gone through a lot, Brother Kabir.
Mm. She has. I mean, she's very well. She's only 30 years of age, very, very young, and I think she won her elections with 47% of
And it
the
wasn't
vote.
just a Bangladeshi vote; it was a more than a Bangladeshi vote, to be fair.
Yeah, Poplar and Lima is a very diverse area, very
So it
diverse,
wasn't
very
just Bangladesh.
multicultural girl. Yeah, very multicultural again. So she's done very well to get her message across to all communities, not just from those that Bangladesh. And she's again, she's done marvelously well. I think all the members of parliaments that we have actually focused on here on that particular slide, they're all very young. They're all between 30 and their mid 40s. But even if you're in your 50s or 60s, I think as an MP, it's still a very, very young job. So I can see a very bright future for these individuals with their parties, and I can continue, and I can consistently see them holding on to their seats and are doing very, very well. And we'll hear a lot more about them in the future as well. We wish them all the best for
Yeah,
2021 and for the decade later, for the rest of the decade.
definitely. Definitely, I look forward to even greater contribution from these four ladies. My only thing for them is that, the more grounded you will be, as in more connected to your roots. As you go up, if you're able to still look down and remember where you stand and how you stand, that will make the best character of such people, and that's what will make you be remembered again and again. And I hope they will continue to inspire even greater men and women on behalf of the British Bangladeshi to come forward and take up roles and responsibilities that will not only make a difference for their own community, but the overall community and society here in England and in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, they can inspire a lot of young Bangladeshi men as well, because it cannot just be Bangladeshi female representing British Bangladeshis. I think the men also need to get involved.
I think soon there might need to be a positive discrimination where the ladies have to stop for a while and let the
Well,
men catch up.
well, actually, one of our brothers and friends, Mr. Nazir Ali, he wants to be a civil servant, doesn't he? So he
Yeah.
could be leading the way for everybody else. We wish him well. And we encourage everybody else to get involved as well. Make your voices count. If you want to make a difference, go into public life, go into public profile, go into public life, become a civil servant, and fight for your seat and see what you can do in the parliament as such. Well done to these ladies, and hopefully we'll hear much more for them in the future. Now, this talking about Bangladeshi man, this gentleman hasn't done too badly, has he? Tell us a bit more about him.
Well, it's not. Look, I'm sure you know more about him than I do in some sense. But I think, with what can I say? It's quite interesting that he's on our discussion point here. We know that he's recently given an interview to one of the main ethnic TV channels to actually say that he's looking to come back to politics, having taken a break for last 5 years, if you like. Although he's actually made more noise within the overall community, in particular in the British Bangladeshi community, with the role of mayorship. He was the first directly elected executive mayor of the London Borough of Tower Hamlets. Before that, we've had lots of Bangladeshi mayors. With due respect, it wasn't necessarily as powerful as what this role had become. And I would say that, in his time, as human beings, we are made of strength and weaknesses. And if I was to look at some of his strengths, I think he made very, very significant contributions on behalf of the community. No doubt there's going to be people who are perhaps going to say otherwise, but I think on behalf of the British Bangladeshi community, he's been quite like an ambassador for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's done very, very well. As you know, I'm not rooted in the East End like you are. So you've heard about him a lot earlier than I have. But obviously, in the decade that I've been in East London, Essex area, I've heard a lot about him. I have not believed some of the negative stories. I looked at the facts myself. You can tell us the difference that is made to Tower Hamlets in terms of education, in terms of policing, in terms of security, in terms of social
Housing,
cohesion.
yeah.
He's done a fabulous job, but as often, I mean, if you're good at something, you're going to get polarizing opinion. He has made some errors. There's no denying about that. But in terms of him coming back, I think overall he did a wonderful job. Certainly, if we compare him to the mayor, say Robin Wales, the mayor of Newham, the borough that I've actually lived in before, I can't say Robin Wales has made such a significant impact on Newham, apart from the Olympics, which was given which was an event that was organised by the government anyway. So in terms of the impact that I saw in Newham as a resident there for a few years, and then the impact I saw on Tower Hamlets during the mayorship of Lutfur Rahman, I think it made a massive difference, and it certainly improved that particular area as well. It just was a bit unfortunate and sad why he was targeted and what has happened after that as well. But yeah, somebody did tell me that he might be looking to come back to British politics once again, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. I mean, I think his track record is there to be scrutinised, and it's comparable to all the best mayors in the history of mayorship in the United Kingdom. And certainly, if you are watching Mr. Lutfur Rahman, we can do an exclusive one-to-one with you on Bideshi Vibes. Okay. In terms of your comeback interview, we are happy to have you, and it'd be great to actually speak to you about your aspirations for your new party, and hopefully you'll come back to British politics. I would say, in my opinion, I know Nadia is very mainstream. I think obviously she's got a public profile, but in terms of achievements, high level achievements, I would say in politics, certainly, he's definitely my number one in terms of over the last decade, I would say, in terms of his impact and his contribution, positively, but also he's been in the news, which has been negative, but I think his PR team wasn't that great. They could have dealt with it quite easily, certainly the BBC episode. But in my opinion, over the last 10 years, he certainly is probably the guy, the best contributor, certainly the most significant contributor in politics from a South Asian level, I would say, as far as I would go as far as that, actually. Sadiq Khan's obviously making a difference as the mayor of London, but I think this gentleman had a longer tenure. I think he took over a poorer area. I think his achievements, I think on paper, certainly they look very, very impressive. And I would say he's probably been, over the last 10 years, the number one British Bangladeshi contributor in the United Kingdom.
Possibly the most powerful British Bangladeshi during his time in the UK, to be honest and fair, and if I'm trying to be just in that sense. And I would say also that this is probably one person that I found overall to be very grounded. So it wasn't to do with, oh, I'm a politician, you know, and I don't know who I am anymore now as a result. I think that's the challenge of anyone becoming important and big, who are connected to, you know, like a minority community. You know, for you to suddenly just throw that away and think, you know, it's all yourself and you. No, not at all. And I found him to be extremely grounded and rather principled. And I think that's, for me, that's always something that inspires me from any part of the world, and whoever they are, regardless of what community roots, is that they know where they're rooted from. And I think he's done a very exemplary job. So any of the previous mayors, I think, you know, if someone wanted to do a fair audit of you know, like success in terms of using money to benefit the community, generally in the right place in the right time, generally I would say that he would probably have to be ranked at the higher end of that kind of an analysis. And yeah, you know, if he's looking to come back, I wish him all the best. And I think, you know, he's still got a lot to give. You know, if we can avoid the mudslinging, then we can work more objectively and say, look, we want what is best for the community, and that which is best for all of the community. We're not going to be talking about just the Bangladeshi community. By default, the British Bangladeshi community will benefit, but you know, the rest will benefit as well. And I think he's, during his time, generally we found that, you know, other people from the overall community have also had something good to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we look forward to hopefully maybe an interview with Lutfur Rahman sometimes in the new year. We certainly will welcome that. I'm getting messages from the producer, Mustafa Hussein, about speeding up. We're taking up too much time per slide. Let's move on. This is the British Curry Awards. Obviously, the British curry industry has been going for a very, very torrid time over the last decade, mainly because of labor shortages and obviously the immigration control as well. But Enam Ali, for example, is quite very mainstream, is a socialite as well. He's done very well over the last 10 years, and certainly is a great ambassador for the British curry industry in general.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're obviously more rooted in that sector as a person and as a family. So definitely, I think you can say much more in terms of the significance. But I think someone like Enam, to be honest with you, if I'm going to be very fair, and I will try to be fair, Enam and his family members have contributed to this, which is him, his son and daughter. So often we always see Enam Bhai at the fore. With due respect to Enam Bhai, I would like to include his kids and of course the rest of the team. But nevertheless, on behalf of the British Bangladeshi community, the cause of the curry industry, and it is Bangladeshis who are predominantly in that industry, as much as it's called Indian food, he's really brought that to the fore, you know, to a point where the most important players within our society have had no choice but to accept invites from the Curry Awards.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Uncle Enam, I do apologize if you're watching. Uncle Enam, thank you very much for your contribution towards the curry industry, and you've been very proud. I think you've been very, very helpful and supportive of the Bangladeshi restaurateurs and the curry industry in general, and hopefully keep going. And certainly the Vindaloo visa comes into effect in January, and he's definitely the pioneer of that particular visa program to get in more skilled individuals into the curry trade from Bangladesh. So really good luck with that one, and really well done to him.
I
Now
think,
moving.
I think, I think one of the challenges, Brother Kabir, is all of those who are in leadership within that sector need to keep in mind the bigger picture. And I think
Yeah.
one of the weaknesses is that they're looking at themselves as the biggest picture, and that's weakening their cause. And really, great men and women are only as great as the cause. So if the cause is bigger than themselves, then they'll be able to make their mark. And I hope that they could really see in the next 10 years why the bigger picture must be kept in front, and they're working towards that. And don't forget, if me and you contribute to making that bigger picture, history will not forget us. But if we get lost in ourselves, then we might not be able to achieve the targets that we really need to do on behalf of the community. This is a sector that should not be dead. It needs to be not only living, but it needs to be that one of the biggest that continues to give to its own community and to the wider community.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of my favorite programs of Bideshi Vibes was when we covered the British Bangladeshi curry industry, and we interviewed Uncle Shanur, who was a very charismatic man.
It was very memorable, I must say.
And that was a very memorable. We'll come back to our best bits of Bideshi Vibes, actually. But good luck to all the Bangladeshi British Bangladeshi curry restaurateurs. Hopefully, the next decade is a lot better and more fruitful than the decade we're about to leave. Now, moving on to the next slide, please, production chief.
Oh, this
Mohammed
is Majlum
Majid
Khan,
Khan.
Mohammed Majlum Khan.
Yeah, please tell us a bit more about sir.
He's originally from Sylhet and a district called Hobbygunj, in an area called Nobigunj. He's actually a very unique, and I think one of the reasons why we felt someone like him, because his contribution, his writing is very profound in terms of history. He's written so far 3 books that we can see at the bottom. One of them is the Muslim 100, looking at 100 Muslim personalities over the history of Muslims, Islam and Muslims. So he's written about that. He's written something on the history of Bengal. So the Muslim history of Bengal is very rich. But Muslim history of Bangladesh is not from 1947 nor 1970, with due respect to my own heritage, to my own father and my grandfather. It goes much further than that. And I think the challenge for second, third, fourth generation British Bangladeshis, and Bangladeshis, I would say, is that if you're going to talk about your history and your roots, I don't want my history to be younger than I don't want my history to be younger than my own father. I'd like to have that history to be as old as my father, if not even further down, and appreciate all steps and all aspects of that history. So I think he's been quite important in writing. And when you're writing, it's very difficult to try to be objective, particularly when you're writing history. It becomes quite flavored, quite colored, and so on and so forth. All of us have our own biases, but I think the areas that he's been tapping into are very important when it comes to the roots of British Bangladeshis and British Muslims, if you like, in terms of our roots and where it's from. And the thing is, he's been able to trace back a lot. By the way, I have to say one thing which is quite controversial, but I will say it on the 31st of December 2020 on Bideshi Vibes. His position is that Shah Jalal is not originally from Yemen.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Actually, I thought Shah Jalal was from Iraq. I thought he was from Iraq anyway.
That's what I'm saying. So it's a very interesting perspective. I mean, there's this other perspective which is not the one of Yemen. I can certainly say. I'm not saying I'm for this one or that one. What I am for is the opportunity to actually open a few more windows, which may have just been closed so blindly, and it's not necessary, So that's one of his positions, is that Shah Jalal is not from Yemen. He traces his roots back to somewhere else. Okay, for our viewers, and there's food for thought. People can do a bit. And what I'd like to see? I'd like to see more younger British Bangladeshi historians taking the opportunity to go even deeper into the pool that he's dived in, to really bring out the treasures and communicate it in a manner so that it's deeply connected and ingrained in our roots, inshallah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mohammed Majid Khan, author of non-fiction. I mean, certainly a historian of Bangladesh, and also a Muslim personality and Islamic personalities as well. I mean, I think he's made massive contributions over the last 10 years, and hopefully he inspires a lot more authors and writers of Bangladeshi descent, and looking into history, like Brother Yahya said, for the over the next decade or so. I mean, but certainly deserves its place within our individuals that have made this decade and have contributed significantly towards it. Well done to him. Who's our next personality then?
Go on,
Sharif
you can. Yeah,
Sharif
go on.
Muhammad Hassan Albana,
Mm.
co-founder of Awakening Worldwide. Actually, I've got to apologize, brother. Yeah, you tell me a bit more about him. What do you know about him?
Okay, so the thing is, a lot of people don't know that. You've heard of Awakening Media, have you?
Yes, I've heard.
Awakening Media has artists, very, very famous artists. Okay,
Yep.
so originally you've heard of Sami Yusuf.
Yes.
So Sami Yusuf started with Awakening Media. Yeah, that was the record label under which Sami Yusuf started his
Okay.
journey. You've heard of Maher Zain.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, anyone can just Google, go, anyone who's watching, go onto YouTube and put in Maher Zain and see the number of hits that Maher has. I think, in fact, Maher has probably over 1 billion now in
Yep.
terms of hits. So Awakening Media is basically an organization that hosts a number of things. So they have a record label, they have a publishing house, they also events manage, and one of its founding personality is Sharif Muhammad Hassan Al-Banna, who happens to
Okay.
be from Sylhet originally. Okay, so not a lot of people know. Some people do know of him, but a lot of people know Awakening Media. A lot of people know Sami Yusuf, Maher Zain, Masood Curtis, Humud Khudair, Raif, and others. All these are all very, 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 very international artists. Someone like Hassan and a few of his friends took on the challenge of trying to bring in Muslim entertainment much more to the mainstream, if you like. So that's how they attracted the likes of Maher Zain. I mean, I don't know if you know, Maher Zain in his earlier days was working with someone like Lady Gaga, by the way.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, music and certainly, sorry, excuse me, music and certainly halal, what we perceive to be halal music, is definitely one way of engaging today's youth, which is so, so important. So, therefore, Awakening Media and individuals such as Sharif Hassan Albana are very, very important. Hopefully, the entertainment and its group continues to grow, and they produce good halal music that engages with the younger generation and teaches them about our faith, spirituality, Islam in general as well. He certainly deserves his place to be. You know, who knows? I think he might be certainly him or somebody like him in that particular sector might be the leading figure in the next decade to come. Certainly, when we look back and do this in 10 years' time, inshallah.
Put it this way, just to say to all of our audience, if we're talking about Muslim entertainment, Islamic entertainment, at this moment in time, there's no one bigger than Awakening Records in terms of the
Yep.
number of artists, the number of reach. So I'm sure if others are inspired and do great work, that people like Hassan will most certainly value that, and credit will be connected to those who started a very good input into the wider Muslim entertainment sector.
Fantastic. Keep up the great work at Awakening Media. Okay, our next personality is Isla Abdul Rahman, a very young guy, a film director, actor, and screenwriter. What do we know about him, Brother Yahya? I mean, this is your list, so you should know something about him.
I thought you would know Isla quite well. Have you not heard of The Corner Shop?
You mean The Corner Shop, the movie?
Well, it's a series online, basically, which was.
I think you told me about it. I know Corner Shop, the song, or I think it was a group that came out in, I think, early 2000s, you know, and they had a #1 track and then they just disappeared. I have not heard of Corner Shop, the online series. No, tell us a bit more about
This brought this young man to the fore, Isla Abdurrahman, who's originally from South London, actually, and
Yeah.
he, wrote, acted, directed. He's like an all-rounder in putting together this series. It's like a comedy type of
It's
series.
Benglish, in English, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, there's not necessarily a lot of Banglish in there, but the lot of the genre inside and the style used is very, very easily. You can almost get lost thinking, oh, some of this is in Brick Lane, some of this is in South London, some of it is
All right.
from Birmingham, that kind of thing. He's got he acts with a very. Well, I think a couple of his friends, actually. That's how the whole story started. Anyway, he's done phenomenally well, to the point that he's had his stuff screened on cinema You know,
Oh
mainstream
wow.
cinema, you know, he's been able to get his contribution onto, as well as on Channel 4 and others. So Islah has done very, very well, and I think he's got a lot more to give, and I look forward to it. I found him to be again grounded. You know, I'm more inspired by those who are grounded, to be honest with you. You can easily be someone, but forget where it all starts from. And for me, where it all starts from is what makes you what you are and what you become. So Islah definitely, you know, my hats off to him, my dua for him for the next decade and plus, and I'm sure he's inspired a lot more people to be as creative as him. And he's been a very big all rounder. So he's not just been an actor. We have to appreciate that people like this who start off, they don't have budgets and things like that, so they have to write, they have to act, they have to edit, you know, do all of those things. And having done all of that and put something online, developed a massive following, and then you know, been was then offered opportunities by, you know, channels like Channel 4 and others. It's a very, very significant step, and it shows what sincerity and hard work and dedication can do to get you where often we assume we can't ever get to.
Absolutely. Well, you're a fan, and I'm definitely going to be checking out Corner Shop next time I'm online, and hopefully I'll become a fan. So he's done very well, Isla. So keep going, buddy, and hopefully you inspire more others to follow you. And certainly we need representation in the media and the entertainment world. Now, who do we have here? Professor Shafi Ahmed. Um, please tell us a bit something about him. He's also from Sylhet as well. Is this basically very Sylhet orientated, then, brother
No,
Yahya?
not necessarily. No, I mean the thing is, people can say that that's the case. I mean, Dr. Shafi goes across. He's borderless as a person. Yes, he's rooted in Bangladesh. Yes, he's rooted in Sylhet. Okay, you can't knock him out for that reason. But in terms of his contribution, is very, very significant. You know, he's if you like, you know, he did the first Google using the, you know, online. He did the first ever historical surgery, yeah, using the Google glasses, and it
Oh
was
wow.
broadcast all over the world. Basically, he's the first surgeon to have actually done something like that. He holds very, very prominent positions within the medical sector, including you know, contributing in international health issues and needs. In fact, his wife, who's a GP, by the way, she
Mm.
was NHS's Women of GP of the Year. She won 2020 GP of the Year, and I think her face has been on several billboards on behalf of the NHS actually. So Dr.
Oh,
Shafi,
fantastic.
doc,
Marvelous achievement on the healthcare sector. And again, I think it's wonderful contribution as a British Bangladeshi for the United Kingdom, but also Bangladesh in general. We wish them well, both him and his
well, in
wife.
fact, Brother Kabir, just to interject, you know, as we are going through this pandemic, our sons and daughters, our brothers and sisters and nephews and nieces who are in the health sector are doing a phenomenal job alongside their colleagues. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're making their mark, and we know that one of the earliest that passed away through the front line was Doctor, one of the British Bangladeshi doctors. Okay, it was one of the British Doctor Mahbub Chaudhry. You know, who's originally from Chittagong. You know, he was one of the first victims. He had actually wrote to the Prime Minister advising on the need for complete PPE. You know, so we've had many health workers that have been on the front line and have paid the ultimate price with their own life, and we have a lot more who are still contributing during this crisis, you know, which has impacted on all communities, and particularly the BME communities. And as a British Bangladeshi, you and I are sitting whilst this pandemic is still going on. You know, I'm isolating, and I'm sure many who are watching this, they're also isolating, and some are going through a very difficult time with their own family members. You know, in terms of being in the hospital, trying to breathe, and the difficulty of breathing. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, you know, bring cure to all of us and to all of humanity, and give us the ability to be patient and grateful. And I wish all the best to people, you know, all in the front line. I mean, medics are one. You have the police. You have all of those different people coming together to contribute during this pandemic. And my hats off, particularly to the health workers.
yeah, they've done phenomenally well, and I think they're fighting for a pay rise as well. Hopefully, they will get it. I mean, it's interesting what you mentioned about the healthcare sector, and certainly the nurses and doctors in the front line. We know this living in London, and wherever you go, whether it's a clinic or a GP or some of the biggest hospitals in London, majority of the workforce will be international, will be of foreign heritage. Unfortunately, during the peak pandemic coverage, from March to July, when we're clapping for the NHS every Thursday, the mainstream media never actually provided the coverage to the diverse workforce that keeps the NHS going and keeps it what it is actually. The whole infrastructure and the whole backbone is actually foreign workers or people with foreign heritage. And I never thought they got the coverage in the newspapers or in the TV channels, which is very, very slightly unfair, I thought at the time. But hopefully, but we know what the truth is, and we know that the NHS, it will not be the NHS without its foreign-born or foreign heritage labour workforce that are obviously at the front line during this crisis, healthcare crisis that we are having. So well done to them, and well done to Professor Shafi Ahmed as well. Hopefully, another great decade for him or somebody else of his ilk with an even greater achievement. Hopefully, can be in our list in 10 years' time. The next slide, please. Here we go.
Okay, why don't you do this one?
Okay, this is the 100-year-old London. I forgot his name actually, but he managed. He managed to raise 420,000.
Dabirul Islam Chaudhry.
Yeah, Dabirul Islam Chowdhury. I mean, obviously, he's a wonderful guy. What a great achievement. He's 100 years old, and he managed to raise £420,000 for a COVID-19 fundraising. I mean, tell me, Brother Yahya, I mean, I read about him, obviously. I mean, it's a fabulous achievement. How did he manage to do it? I mean, what was the key to his success there?
Well, the thing is, don't forget the whole country and perhaps the whole world knows Captain Tom Moore.
Yeah.
Right? Who happened to have walked in his own garden, and actually started this whole initiative where I think more than 30 million plus has been raised for the NHS through the Captain Tom Moore's campaign. Obviously, he was I think he was awarded a was he awarded
something? Yeah.
He got a lot more accolades, in all of this. Not that he intended that, but he made a very significant contribution, which was recognized by world leaders, if you like. And Dabirul Islam, coming from the British Bangladeshi community, who's over 100 years old, older than Captain Tom Moore, actually. This man, one of the things that's fascinating is that he would have been, if he's 100, I would say he would have seen what? He would have been connected to the Second World War, and then the partition of Bangladesh and Pakistan, and then the formation of Bangladesh. So he's walked through history, if you like. He's also one of the earlier migrants to the UK. He's originally from, I think, Sunamganj, one of the four districts of Greater Sylhet in Bangladesh, and one of the 64 districts. So yeah, he resides in Bo, and during last Ramadan, whilst the whole COVID crisis was unfolding and different efforts by the community to contribute towards supporting COVID victims in the UK, as well as in a place like Bangladesh, Dabirul Islam Chaudhry was fasting. He said that he would also do something similar, and amazing as he was, he inspired a lot of people to come onto his campaign. And I must give acknowledgement to Channel S, the British Bangladeshi Community Channel, who really, really highlighted his cause and took it to very, very big platforms, which was then covered by BBC, Channel 4, TRT World, and etc. etc. So all of that culminated in him being able to contribute towards raising almost £500,000 towards this campaign. I think his original target was £1,000, by the way.
Okay, well, I mean, the thing is, it's done fabulously well. I am not a fan of the idea of raising money for the NHS. The NHS is not a charity, by the way. Every single taxpayer pays for the National Health Service. So the government should be funding it. And if it's underfunded, they should be providing the money for it from the state. Dabirul Islam and Captain Tom Moore, obviously it's a lot more easier to get fundraising if you're Captain Tom Moore, because you've got the whole country donating to you after learning about the cause. I think Dabirul Islam, grandfather Dabirul Islam has done fabulously well, and I mean it's an amazing gesture, and even at the end of 100 years of age, it's put us all to shame, really. I would have preferred if that money went to a great cause somewhere other than the NHS, because the NHS does not really.
I must say something here, Kabir, right? not all the funds were gone went to the NHS, and rightly
Good.
so. I mean, the NHS is not a charity. I agree with you
Yeah.
on that front. Obviously, we can help the NHS. It's not a problem. Though there could be a gesture, but a lot of the money also went to Bangladesh, particularly to support COVID victims. Because, as you
Yes.
know, what COVID did was, COVID turned lockdown into a crisis for people. People were dying not because of COVID, but they were dying because of lockdown and not being able to earn their daily bread and butter. So a lot of people were starving, if you like, in terms of being denied access to an income to buy basic essentials. So a lot of these funds were used and is being used to support such needy persons and families in a place like Bangladesh.
Well, Dabirul has certainly done fabulously well. Okay. Hopefully, he can live for another 100 years, mashallah. What is the
I
next
mean,
section?
I mean,
Amen, amen. Okay, this is about East London Mosque, is it?
yeah. So when you talk about British Bangladeshi contribution, this institution goes back more than 100 years in age in terms of its founding historical roots. That the first formation of this whole institution, and we know that the overall Muslim community has contributed to where this institution is at, but we have to be even more specific. The British Bangladeshi community across the board, across the UK, have been the biggest contributor and are also giving leadership to this institution. In fact, I would say this is probably the biggest British Bangladeshi contribution on the British Isle in terms of as a place, as a space, on the landscape of the UK. It's hosting more than 7,000 people to congregate in terms of prayer. Apart from that, playing a vital role in the needs of the immediate community as well as the community of London and the UK through various education, social, interfaith activities. It's almost been a role model example of an institution of what it means to have a mosque or a Muslim community institution that is there not only for the immediate community but for the greater community. And I would say, for on behalf of the British Bangladeshi community, that's probably the biggest actual physical achievement to date.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Hopefully, it goes from strength to strength. I mean, it's not easy. We should be very proud of having a place that can house basically 7 to 8 thousand worshippers at the same time. Such a massive institute, such a great landmark. I'm sure it will go from strength to strength, but it needs a bit of innovation. I think it's also
Yep.
very important. I think it's also very important. I mean, one of our episodes that we covered was the MCB, Muslim Council of Britain. We also spoke about Muslim engagement and development. We also have spoken about some of the larger Muslim charities. I think if they were in and around that particular area, or certainly working out within East London Masjid, I think that would bring in its own unique appeal as well and make it into an Islamic center. It is an Islamic center. I think it'd be a lot more bigger Islamic center if some of the Muslim groups actually house themselves in there, were working out from that building. And attract more and more Muslim organizations there as well. I think it will become a fabulous landmark and one that we could be all very proud of, that we are already and hopefully in the future as well. So great work for everybody at East London Mosque, to everybody that's done and also everybody that's contributing as well. Hopefully, the East London Mosque is back operational, back to normal, sometimes in the new year, inshallah.
Inshallah, I hope so too. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd like to see such an institution on behalf of the British Muslim community first and foremost, and then on behalf of the British Bangladeshi community, whether it's based in London or in East London, it's got the opportunity to influence all over the UK, and it can make contributions beyond East London, beyond London, and around the UK. And I think it's about time it's taken on that challenge to be able to do that. That would be what I'd be looking out for, seeing how it can be a contributor beyond London and across the UK for all communities, and of course the Muslim community and the British Bangladeshi community, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, great. I believe that is the end of all of the institutes and personalities that we believe have made a significant contribution over the last 10 years. We wish them well for the next 10 years to come, and hopefully we'll have some new names and new landmarks and new institutes to talk about in 10 years' time. But I believe we've had some comments on our choices from our audience. If our production chief can show them us on screen, then we can discuss them. Okay, so one's from Nazbai. Mashallah, great end to 2020 with this event. Thank you very much. However, you're missing. You're supposed to be on air. You are not. The moon has been sighted. New Year's will be tomorrow, but some quarters are doing on Saturday.
I didn't realize they were looking for the moon because that
Yeah,
doesn't
they're
get.
looking for the moon. That's a great one. And here we go. This is from Imanul Islam. Yahya by looking fresh and ready for the new year. I think Yahya by is looking for a new bride in the new year. Correct?
Sorry, I didn't. Can you say that in
I think.
English, please?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I said Imanul. I think brother Yahya is looking fresh because he wants a new bride in the new year. So I think he's going to be looking fresh for 365 days of next year, which is
Some,
great.
Sometimes we have to use other people to talk about what's within our own selves. So, I wish you the best too, Brother Kabir.
My wife is listening to this. Hopefully, I'm not in trouble after the program. He's missing the Guy Fawkes night at Tower Bridge, says Nazbai. Actually, what's the fireworks at Tower Bridge? Is that actually taking place this evening? Do you know?
Well, probably the fireworks are probably taking place. They're probably showing it on TV, but they're probably discouraging people to go out in high numbers and high volumes to go and gather. Given we're in tier 4 at the moment, so I don't think it's been organized in the way it was maybe in 2019. So yeah, I'm assuming we're going to probably hear the big bangs in just over an hour and a half's time. Definitely, I've already heard some, by the way. Where I live, people start fireworks before midnight. So it happens. By the way, I've had so many. The thing is, it's quite interesting. I've had so many New Year messages from parts of the world that have got nothing to do with this particular calendar. It's quite amazing, actually.
Well, listen, I've seen some fireworks display where there's been a great gathering on people. Guess where that was?
Great gathering.
Great gathering and a great fireworks display.
As in like 2 meters apart and gathering.
No, it was actually overpopulated. It was very crowded, and there was a great gathering of people enjoying the New Year fireworks. Do you know where it was?
No, I'm not actually. I'm assuming it shouldn't be happening, so I don't know how that's been facilitated.
Well, no, it's happened, and it's happened illegally. It's in the city of Wuhan.
Oh, really?
Yes, you should have a look at the newspaper coverage and pictures straight
Wow.
after it. So Wuhan has obviously embraced the new year in spectacular style, in celebratory mood.
Well, they introduced the new year in spectacular style as well. If you don't, let's not forget that.
Well, they've ended the year in spectacular style. Okay, shoot out to brother Nazir for completing 100 times 5 kilometer run. Yeah, well done on that for the Rohingya projects. I think we've all donated towards that. Okay, there's a personal conversation going on there between Naz and Imanul. We'll leave them to it. We've got to move on with the show, unfortunately, guys. And we're going to be looking back on the best bits and pieces and on Bideshi vibes. This is our 14th episode, so this is our end of season review, which we're just going to go through very, very quickly because we're very humble. We don't like to focus on ourselves. We like to focus on other people. So let's bring in, for example, this was the very opening day launch show. It was a bit nervous actually, but we did pretty well. We had some great guests, and that's our first conversation of COVID. And it was aired on Sunday, the 5th of July, 2020. Do you remember much about the show? I think the guests were very good. I think
we had Dr. Mahfouz Ahmad as well as Muhammad Abdullah. One was representing the some of the COVID deaths and the victims and the support that were being provided by a particular organization called Eden Care. And Dr. Mahfouz Ahmad, who works in the NHS, he was talking about the obviously the realities of lockdown, how it's impacted a community like ours, and the precautions that we needed to take. I mean, one thing he did make an important point even on that time. He said, look, the NHS is not a charity. And I think I echoed that, and I know you echoed that, and we should continue to echo that because it's something we pay for. Yes, definitely we appreciate and respect it, and it certainly needs more input on behalf of the government, including nurses and doctors to be paid even more for the hard work that they've been doing. But yeah, so that was the launch show, and it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. I mean, 6 months ago now? This was, I think, the next show where we interviewed Councillor Khalid Moeed from Tottenham. He was a great guest, wasn't he? I mean, very vibrant personality, and he did really, really well on the quiz. I remember. I think we spoke about a lot of things, especially the mosque reopening, and we did see the mosque reopening actually about a month later or so, a couple of months later anyway. So that was a good political show in terms of sort of looking at from a councillor's thought process in terms of the masjid and its infrastructure and when it will be open. Good little show, that one. And then
don't forget there was something else. Can we go back to the previous one, please? Which was Remember the whole issue with the pandemic?
Oh yeah, pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah, the missing Panwala, he disappeared, didn't he?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we couldn't get him.
there was a big crisis of there was a pan shortage. You remember the queues when pan had arrived, and the long queues, even fights had broken out, waiting for in line to get hold of your pan, and the extortionate prices that pan had reached, and the withdrawal symptoms that we had, our mothers and our sassies and aunts were going through, and all these stories because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Even the
absolutely.
people
I
in,
remember that one. I
yeah.
remember that one, Pan episode. This was with Sheikh Shams Adua, who was he was a wonderful guest actually. Very charismatic individual as well. But unfortunately, we didn't get to interview Nurul Haq, who was there. Unfortunately, didn't have good Wi-Fi. A great chef on this one. And the Rocky Balboa impression was quite funny. I think that was really, really good by the Sheikh. It was very,
By
very
the way,
lively, wasn't he? I remember that episode.
Nurul Haq, the chef, actually is almost opening his own restaurant. He's been working at Dishum, remember,
Yeah.
but he's actually been working on setting up his own restaurant. So people who know Nurul Haq, he's quite a bit of a celebrity. So inshallah, find out where his new restaurant is and support him, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had Salam Jones. I think this was an event of the Bangladesh Regional Trust and the takeaway competition that we had, or the initiative we had. He was a great guest as well, Salam Jones. That was a very interesting episode. I think yourself and brother Nazir, I think we're hosting that particular episode.
Yeah, we actually did a live the night before the Bangladeshi dinner party takeaway, takeaway version, basically because of the whole COVID requirements and so on and so forth. They could not actually host the dinner with lots of guests that they usually do every year, and then raise money for good causes. This year they supported the Bangladeshi Regeneration Trust, which obviously is now the Global Development Foundation. And Salam Jones has always supported the work of Bangladesh Regeneration Trust, and I'm sure he will continue with the Global Development Foundation. There is a good amount of money which is going towards supporting education out in Bangladesh. And I actually did a live broadcast from his kitchen the night before, where him and other volunteers were, preparing for this whole event. And it was actually quite a successful event. Credit to Salam Jones and the team behind it all, and the Bangladeshi dinner party. If people want to see photos, just go online and search for Bangladeshi dinner party 2020 takeaway version. You'll be able to see that. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we've got 14 of these slides to go through, so we've got to be very sharp and quick on them. I think this was Ashid Ali. It was another great episode. He's a great viewer of ours and a friend of ours as well. He's got a lovely academy actually in Tower Hamlets as well. I think we spoke about the exam results. I mean, the exam results was totally spectacular. During that particular term time, so all the students must have been very, very happy in terms of the way it was marked and assessed. And certainly we had the principal of London Enterprise Academy, Ashid Ali, come in, and he gave us a wonderful foresight in terms of what the government were thinking in terms of the marks they were handing out at that particular time. I do remember this episode very vividly. This was actually our first musical guest or entertainer, certainly, that appeared. Saida Tani, I think she was a wonderful guest as well, and we had great viewing figures from this particular episode. And we did have the exclusive Runa Laila song from Saida Tani. Do you remember?
That's right.
Melody.
Yep, that's right. Definitely. I mean, that was a very unique show that night, and all the best to Sadia. And thank you to Sadia and all her fans and followers who joined us on that night. I think she had a wonderful time. We did too, and I'm sure our audience did, because the viewings spoke for itself. So all the best to Sadia for the years ahead.
Absolutely. And then we had, Citizen Rahman. I mean, this is Citizen Rahman. I mean, this guy's everywhere. He's doing something every single minute of the day for somebody or somebody. Where does he get the time? I have no idea. But he was also a wonderful guest as well. It does help. He's a big Liverpool fan. And Emdad Rahman could have been on that list of people that have made a difference in the decade.
Definitely, but easily. Yeah.
He's done very well. He's a wonderful guest as well. Good luck to him. I'm sure we're going to see more of the future. This was a very interesting episode. We spoke about the problems facing the Bangladeshi curry industry and why it was so important to rebrand it and keep our heritage and our legacy over here. And Uncle Shanur was a wonderful guest, wasn't he?
He was certainly full of surprises, I have to say. Amazing. He he actually challenged my ability as a presenter, and alhamdulillah, I learned a lot through his show. But yeah, he definitely was a very creative participant on our show, and we will not forget him. And we wish him the best in terms of the work and campaign on behalf of the British Bangladesh community and the car industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep up the good work, Uncle Shanu. And then we had the Bangladeshi Will Smith from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Or should we say Fresh Prince of Birmingham? The guy who's made spray painting into a profession, into an art form, Erasal Ali. I mean, he was a wonderful guest, wasn't he? And
Yeah, definitely.
Extremely talented.
Very, very talented. Muhammad, again, a highly accomplished artist. He's taken something so stereotypical to such a high level. If you're talking about a Banksy within the Muslim/Bangladeshi community, then you can't leave Muhammad out of that. Not that he needs to be called a Banksy. His Banksy has certainly been an important inspiration, but Muhammad himself is an inspiration, and his art definitely has really brought art to the fore. He's even brought curry to art.
Yeah.
With the Knights of the Raj and the great works that he's been doing, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more we'll see from Muhammad, although he's not that great with social media, but he's been making his mark all the way through so far with his contributions.
I would not be surprised if he has his own Aerosol art gallery in the center of Birmingham somewhere. Good luck with that one, Aerosol Ali. Wonderful guest. And then we spoke about the criminal rape culture in Bangladesh, and we had three wonderful guests in. That was a very, very interesting episode, wasn't it? I do remember that vividly. It was a very interesting discussion we had, and I think we realized at the end of the particular episode, we realized that it wasn't the penal punishment of introducing the capital punishment in terms of hanging that would make a noticeable difference. I think it's going back to the roots level and educating the children from a very early age, and education starts from home. That's what's really going to be making a massive difference in terms of the treatment of women in Bangladesh.
Yeah, definitely. This was all happening whilst a very bad rape had taken place in the city of Sylhet, in one of his most renowned educational institutions. So the whole of the Sylheti community and Bangladesh community were in uproar. And fortunately, the most of the culprits, almost all of them, have been caught, and they're going through sentencing at this moment in time. But definitely, hanging ain't going to solve the issue. It starts from very early on. Being able to respect women, being able to respect men, the roles and responsibilities we have in our societies equally to be able to make our mark. Definitely.
Absolutely. And then we had Sabirul Islam, a great guy, another young, very talented guy, Mr. Motivator. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about this young man over the next 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's in the mainstream, so probably the side stream doesn't know a lot about him because he's too much in the mainstream, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah, he's done very well for himself. And then we had, this was a very interesting episode. We spoke to Harun Rashid Khan, Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain. And at the end of the program, I think we kind of established that it's not about whether you're from Mirpur or from Sylhet, or how many days of Ramadan we're going to be observing, or when we're celebrating Eid. When it comes to Islamophobia, we are all one. We're all Muslims. So I think it was very, very important that is to support certainly institutions such as Muslim Council of Britain, and really help them with donations, but also in terms of voluntary work, for them to actually make some difference for us politically, economically, and socially over here. I think my opinion of the MCB and these kind of organizations are they've got to move away from the donation line to become a professional body and to get invested and to attract money through donors. And I don't care how much you want to donate, but it's very, very important that we engage with these guys as a community and we help them to actually fight our causes in the parliament.
We did say that night that we would be amongst those who would be investing in the works of the MCB with a standing order and donation. And I remember you saying about a certain percentage of your income.
Yes.
And I hope audience who are watching once again, that you'll be able to do that, because we have to put our money where our mouth is. Otherwise, we're really not going to be making a serious statement and contribution.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my first payment went out this month. So hopefully that will continue as long as risk is there. Now, this was a very, very special show for us, very close to our heart. The launch of Global Development Foundation, and we met the team of Sister Saleha, Sister Anjuma, and obviously Brother Islam. We've got great hopes for them over the next 10 years, and hopefully GDF could be an institute that we talk about in 10 years' time.
Yeah, definitely. Why not? I mean, I'm looking forward to the next decade of contribution within the British Bangladeshi community, and I hope that GDF seeks to not only contribute out in Bangladesh, but take the British Bangladeshi community with them, which means that to look at issues and needs here in the UK, and with it, play, put a spotlight on very very important priority needs and issues. And I hope that in the next 5 to 10 years, GDF becomes the charity of choice for British Bangladeshis when it comes to Bangladeshi contribution.
Absolutely. We hope that, inshallah, that is the case forward. That is the end, actually, of the review of Bideshi Vibes. We've done 14 episodes. It's been very emotional. I think it's been very creative. We've been very intelligent. Hopefully, in the new year, we'll be able to bring something similar or do something even better. Now, what do we have now? I think we're going to be rounding off, ending the show with an on-the-spot challenge between myself and you. So, shall we begin then?
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, like you said, I mean, I'm sure Bideshi Vibes will bring something even more great and greater in the new year and years to come, inshallah. I have to say a big thank you to our producer, who's obviously behind the scene.
Yeah.
We've been trying so much to bring the producer to the limelight. It hasn't worked. So, producer, thank you for all your hard work, as well as other members of the team. Some are, directly involved, others from a distance, as well as those who share our publicity, even the designer. Obviously, our poster has taken, we saw clearly we started with a certain design, and then we got to a design that the show became comfortable with and the audience became comfortable with, and producer is an important part to all of this. Okay. So let's bring it on. Kabir Ahmed, you're going to be on the spot, my friend.
On the spot with myself. Okay, This seems like a scene from Korolis Usman that I'm watching and hooked on, or Ertagul, right?
Is it what, picking rice out late in the night?
Is that rice or flour, actually? Okay, well, lenton, right?
This rice where the grains have been taken out. Sometimes once you've crushed the rice, you still have bits left, and then it's quite a painstaking process. But yeah, it's rice. But what is that? What is the name of the item that's been used to provide light there? That's
it's a filter. It's a filter mechanism. I've heard it. I don't know what it is. It's one of those things that comes in your mind, but you just can't bring it to your tongue to say it.
You're not British Bangladeshi enough, are you?
My son's helping me. You have no idea what this is done. Even your father doesn't know. I'm sure you won't know about it.
It begins with the letter L.
L.
Lem.
This is lantern, right?
No, lantern is the other one. Lantern is like the horicol. Yeah, this is known as a lamp because basically it essentially burns on a string connected to kerosene inside that actual item itself, basically. So you can blow it. Okay, so what's the name of the tool that's been used for the frying?
Actually, my wife's got one for Handesh in my own.
Your wife doesn't have to have one. You can use it as well.
Okay. I have no idea. What's the name of this?
Isn't it luhari?
Luhari, I'm not sure about that. Mind you, you've been to my house. I don't even know where the cups are. Do you remember?
We'll give you a map next time of your house.
Okay, these are rice crackers. I know these are rice cakes that you buy. You buy them from mitai shops, aren't they? Sahib, what's these things called, son? We get them sometimes, don't we? Do you know what the names are? I'm asking my son. Here we go.
Yes, good.
Oh, he's got no clue either.
Rather than asking your friend, you're asking your son, which is good.
He's 14 years old. He's got no clue either. Right, the rice cakes, right?
So this is puffed rice wrapped in molasse into balls and then slightly dried, and then normally it's consumed with tea, and it tastes very nice in the winter days, especially out in Bangladesh. Bit of reminiscence going on for me.
I have seen them. They're a bit hard though, aren't they?
They are. Yes, they are. They certainly are.
You need strong teeth. Okay, the next one, please. Production chief.
That was laddu, by the way. Yeah, that's the other name for them. They call
it it's not laddu. Laddu's different, brother. That's not laddu.
No, in Bangladesh, that's known as laddu. I know you're talking about laddu from Ambala and Nirala. That's a different thing.
Okay, if it's called laddu in Bangladesh, and I had laddu in mind, so that means that answer's correct from me then.
Yeah. Okay. We'll give you a Bangladeshi visa. Go on.
Okay, this is puri, nani puri.
No, it's not puri. I can't see
Yeah,
it.
it is puri. You got these stuffings inside. What is it? I got the cake or like a puri nani.
This is made out of rice flour. Okay,
Okay.
crushed rice flour. So you know they say sauloguri. So this thing cannot be made without sauloguri. It has to be made with sauloguri.
So good. Now I'm gonna salo guri puri.
No, it's a pita, but it's got a
Pita.
particular name.
Okay. Kami hoisi pita.
All right, it's buffer pita, buffer. You know that's
Okay, buffer
coconut.
pita.
The
Okay,
golden,
buffer
the golden bits of coconut, basically. That
Okay, you should have given me the answers beforehand. You know.
right. So
This
what is the item that he's putting into the soil? It's got a name for it.
Rui, Rui.
No, that's the act of doing, isn't it?
Harvesting, right? It's called Rui.
This is not harvesting. This is actually planting.
Hoi ladu. Oh, no, in Nazbai, that's the other one. Rua.
Roa, yeah, but no, we're talking of what is it? What is that seedling has a name? Because this is the base. This is where rice begins growing from this.
Oh. Okay, what's the name? Tell me.
In Sylhet, they call it alisera.
Alisa, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, come on.
Wow.
You've got to give me some easy ones. Why have you given me all the tough ones
Well,
anyway?
here's an easy one then. Go on.
Well, that's not easy. I thought, what the hell is this, by the way?
It's not hell. It's definitely a very important tool that's used.
Danor Chira. Oh, Nazba is giving the answers, but he's a bit behind, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit behind. I think he's too busy with the fireworks at the moment. You see, that's why.
Okay, it seems like Igo master or something.
Yes, definitely. So it's for fishing. Yep.
So what does this tool do exactly?
Basically, what you do is you know the barriers of each of the paddy fields.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically you can open up parts of the paddy field during the season just after the water had receded. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what you do is you put, because new young fish are born, they move from one field to the other. So you put a basket like that in between those barriers. Then when they're swimming through, they end up going through that middle hole and getting stuck into this basket.
Kufa box.
Eh?
Kufa box.
Yeah, dory. There's another name for it is dory. Dory.
Okay. Well, I think you've given me the toughest ones on the last show of the whole.
You gotta save the best for last.
Okay. Well, listen, I mean, I've tried my very best. I needed more time, actually. If you gave me the answers beforehand, that would have been helped. Season 4, we've just completed episode 14.
Well, look, you can if you're. This one is going to be easy for you.
Bideshi we're going to do Bideshi farm as well. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. This one's going to be easy for you. Let's see. Go on. Come on.
Super dry. Super dry kita. Hukna. Super hukna.
What? There should be another name for super. Come on.
Shandar.
All right. Let's go for this one then. This should be good. You should be able to do that. One of your favorite places.
Perfect fried chicken. Perfect. Bala fried kita. Bala fried murug.
Baza nani? Baza is fried, isn't it? Isn't baza fried?
Okay. Oh yeah. Bala baza murug.
Bala baza murug.
What's the Bengali for perfect then?
Perfect could be. Oh no, do this one. Come on.
Golden wonderfully flavored cheese and onion. Oh, golden shunar wonder obach. Shunar obach, right? Fully flavored, fully, I'm not sure.
Fully punno, complete, fully.
Okay, what did I say? Shunar obach, fully, what's the Bengali for fully?
Poripunno.
Okay, poripunno, cheese, arfiais.
Now flavored hoile na, makhail.
Makhane, acha. So shunar, obach, puripunno, cheese, arfiais.
Cheese is not a Bangla word, by the way.
Okay, let's see you have a go at the next one. Go on, Mustafa. Okay, say this one.
You do this one, or you should be doing this one. I'm sure you.
No, you should be doing it. Go on, you're the expert. Go on, say it.
Number one, live on Bideshi Vibes. I never claimed to be the expert. Please don't call me the expert.
Say this in Bengali. Say this in Bengali. The North Face. Go
on. North Face. Purbo Poshchim. So east, uttor, dokhin. So I think it's Dokkin Mukh.
Yeah, but what's the Bengali for the?
I don't know. I have to say I don't know.
It's not that easy, is it? Butcher, now you're on the spot. It ain't that easy.
It's Dokkin Mukh. Okay,
Okay,
go on.
okay. What about this one? Say this one.
Old Fish Street Hill, yeah? Furana
Yep.
Masor Rastar Tilla. How
Okay,
about
that's
that?
not too bad. Actually, that's pretty good. This one's pretty funny. Say this one, go on.
Oh, you want me to do it now? You're
Yep,
jumping.
go
Hona Berir Honar Fourth.
on. Okay, that's good enough. And I think we have come to the end of that particular quiz. Listen, for all those guests who I said did a poor job or poor attempt on our quizzes, we've just done it ourselves. And I can tell you, it's not really easy, especially to think on the spot and translate it from English to Bengali. It's quite hard, actually. It's been a wonderful journey this year. We've done 14 episodes. We've got our schedule to work on next year, which hopefully we will be doing. Hopefully more exciting and more innovative version of Bideshi Vibes are coming to you in 2021. Just before we leave everybody, what's your hopes and aspirations for this coming year, Brother Yahya? Very quickly.
Uh, I hope that we'll be able to come out of the new normal as much as possible. But I think at the same time, we should appreciate that the new normal may last for a while, and that we're as human beings, we're resilient, and we will continue onwards and upwards, inshallah. With difficulty comes ease. So let's keep working. Let's look at those who are in more difficult situations than us, and appreciate what we have, inshallah. And I look forward to being a contributor to the betterment of human beings wherever they are in 2021 and with the rest of the life that I have. And I'm wishing everyone the best for the rest, inshallah.
Absolutely, very beautiful message. And our message for the watching audience at Bideshi Vibes for following us this year is?
Make sure you join us next year. Okay, Ashid Ali is a bit late. He's saying stick to Bangladesh. You're a bit late, Ashid Ali. You could have contributed earlier, but yeah, definitely. I think Bideshi Vibes can go strength to strength, and I'm sure people are looking forward to what's new for Bideshi Vibes in 2021. Kabir Bhai, we have to think hard and fast, and I'm sure you're going to be a very important contributor on that journey onwards and upwards. And I'm wishing Bideshi Vibes and all of its followers, wherever they're from, the best of the rest, inshallah, to come.
Yeah, absolutely. What started off as an idea of fun has become quite integral to our lives, actually. I quite enjoy it, I must admit it. We're going to sit down and we're going to go through this, and hopefully we'll come back with a bigger and better version of Bideshi Vibes, hopefully a more dynamic one as well. I would like to thank every single member, every single viewer that we've had on the 14 episodes that watch us during live or watch us afterwards. Thank you so much. And like Brother Yahya said, stay safe, stay well. Have a great beginning to the new year, and we look forward to seeing you, inshallah, in the new year, sometimes in 2021, hopefully before the end of January. You can keep on following us on fb.com/Bideshi Vibes. Please do talk about us, like us, tweet us, tag us, follow us, and we hope to be with you sometimes in the new year very, very shortly. In the meantime, very good evening for me. Salam alaikum, and the last message to Brother Yahya.
Thank you very much, definitely stay safe, everyone. Please take the highest level of precaution, but don't stop living. We need to continue onwards and upwards. With the difficulties will come, and do join Videshi Vibes in the new year for bigger and brighter opportunities to make a difference to our lives and lives of all of our audience. And we need more input from our audience, inshallah. People who are interested in supporting Videshi Vibes, get in touch. I'm sure we'll benefit from your contribution and your input, inshallah. Big thanks to the producer, to all the volunteers, all the supporters, and all of our guests who have facilitated us so far. And without audience, we would be nothing. So we ask you to forgive us, and we request you to remember us in your prayers. And we pray for you too. And stay well, stay safe, stay strong, and maintain the requirements that have been instructed to us by the authorities, inshallah.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. Assalamu alaikum.
That's it. Happy New Year.